Okay, so we've got our new LEI, we've grabbed it out of the bag, but we need to know how to pump the kite up. So, firstly, we're just going to unroll the kite and we're just going to unravel it out. We want to have it so it's flagged out downwind. So, I'm just going to pull the kite off down here and open it all out. Okay, now I've got it all opened up, the first thing I want to do is I want to pump up our struts. Because if we pump up our struts first, that way we've not got the main shape and it's not awkward. Because if we did the leading edge first, we would have the curled up shape and it'd be awkward to do our struts. So, all you need to do, put the hose in the valve, nice and tight. It's a simple case of just pumping it up. You want a nice amount of pressure in it so that it's a good solid shape. And then, because the valves have the new membrane valve on, the air stays right in the strut. In this case, just plug it in, pull the Velcro over, and that's nice and secure. So now I'm going to go along and do the rest of the struts. Okay, so we've made sure that our bridle's not outside or around the back of the kite, because when we pump up the leading edge, it's going to bring that right up into its shape and it's going to make it awkward if something does get tangled. So, now we're going to pump up our leading edge. We're going to make sure our deflate valve is closed from when we were packing up. And we're going to open our inflate valve. Important thing to make sure is that our leash line on our pump connects onto the kite, because on a windy day we're going to be using both hands to pump up the kite and we've not got a spare hand to hold on to the kite. So, like the struts, just putting that straight into the valve and we're just going to pump away. So now we need to make sure that we've pumped it up to the right pressure. By doing that, all you need to do is flick the kite, and you'll hear a ringing noise when you flick it. At the moment, it's a bit of a dull noise, so we're going to pump it up a little bit more. Now, it's a much more high-pitched noise, and that's the kind we want. And that way, we know that the kite's going to be real solid and really good to fly in the sky. So, now, we're just going to pull our pump out. We can hear a little bit of air, but we've got a stoppable. And we're just going to whack that plug in, and again, put the Velcro over, unattach our leash, and now we're done with the pump. Now what we need to do, flick the kite over, and now it's not going to go anywhere, and the wind's just going to push that down onto the floor. And all we need to do now is attach our boring lines. Okay, so now we're going to get the boring lines out so that we can fly our kite. Firstly, what you need to do is unravel them from the end and get them all so they're ready just to wind off. What you're going to do now, unwind them, dropping them down inside the kite and walking them away from the kite downwind so that it's all nice and in line with the kite, so that when we come back to the kite it's all even out, nicely laid out and ready to put the knots on. Okay, so now we've walked all our lines out, we're going to spread out our boring lines so it looks nice and neat, and then you can tell whether there's any tangles in the kite lines or not. So again, because the kite's upside down, we've got our bar back to front, so red's right at the moment. So what we're going to do is grab all four lines and split them in our fingers like that, so that it's nice and easy that when we need to run up the kite, everything's separated in relation to what it is at the kite. So what you got to do now is just walk up your kite lines. What we have here are line extensions. In this case it's a 3 metre line extension, and what this means that in high winds you can shorten your lines so that the kite's not so powerful, and also to speed the turning of the kite. If you want more wind range in lower winds so that the kite comes through the power for longer, that's why we have the longer lines. And now we're just going to separate all our lines up, throwing them out towards our knots, and there we have it, nicely laid out in relation to what they are with the kite. Okay, now we need to check that all our bridle lines are right. So we're just going to grab the bridle line via our grey bit, and one thing we want to be careful with is where the pulley goes through, we don't want it to be crossed over. So we're just going to unswivel that round so that there's no friction on it and your line's going to last longer. So we're just going to spread that out nice and neatly. Again, we're going to be checking the settings of what this is on, going for sort of AA at the moment. So we've got 4 knots, and this changes the power setting overall on the kite. So real easy, it's all colour coded, so it's red to red. Again, we're going to use a lark's head knot, same as on a foil, and because it's the first time we've got it open, we're going to put it sort of on one of the middle knots. The further away from the kite you touch it, the less power it's going to have overall. If you want it to be nice and grunty or really powerful in high winds, you're going to bring it back up towards the kite and get a lot more power out of it. So that's that one done. Now we're just going to do our 2 front lines. They just go onto a single knot. Again, going to check our bridle line runs smoothly, straight over, pull in nice and tight. Again, blue to blue, nice and simple, but we're going to remember what setting we had it on the previous knot, and we're going to have it on the same on this side, and that's on the 2nd knot from the bottom. Okay, so now we're packing the kite away. First thing we're going to do is unattach our lines. Pull the white tab, sorry, start that again. Okay, so now we're going to pack our kite away. First thing we want to do is unattach our lines. We're going to grab hold of the white tab and also the red line, and we're just going to pull them apart like that, and that opens up our lark's head knot. All we need to do now is go along, do the other 3 lines, and that way our barring lines are unattached from our kite, so we're ready to wrap those around the barring line. Okay, so now we've unattached our lines from our kite. What we need to do now is you want to pick your barring lines up, and you're going to bring your floats into the middle. What this does is it brings all our lines together, and we're just going to wrap around the middle of the bar in a figure of 8 motion, and what that does, gets rid of all the bulky bits and gives us a nice clean ends to our bar to wrap the lines around. And we're simply going over each time, making a figure of 8 over the bar. Then it's a simple case of walking back to a kite, winding the lines up. Okay, so now we've come to the end. We're going to collect all our lines together, and we're going to wrap around the end of the bar once, just to close it all off, and then pull it up into the end of the bar, and we're then going to put our elastic over the end to secure our lines. Again, using the elastic over the other end, that's our barring lines packed away.